Let's go.
Well, welcome to this edition of the Don Cherry's Grapevine podcast. We were voted biggest and best of 2020 by Apple, so we'd like to thank everybody for listening. And we're brought to you by Spreads.ca, a First Nations-owned online casino and sports book, I should say, and it's tailored toward Canadians, which means you can bet Canadian dollars, which is good.
Yeah, that's fun. I like it. Let's face it. You bet because you want the games are on. You know what I mean? It's not you're trying to make money. Well, it's nice to make money.
Yeah, and then so you sign up now, enter the promo Grapes, and they'll match your deposit up to $500. You get 15 spins on a big whale, and your first sports bet, they'll help you, and they'll give you a $25 advance.
And it's Canadian too.
Well, and it looks like to me that it's tough winning that second game. Like if you lose the first game, or you should say if you win the second game, it's tough. It looks like it's tough winning that.
Well, you let down a little. You figure.
Yeah.
I mean, Ottawa looked so good the first game they played.
Yeah.
And then trying to,
Yeah. Well, look at Islanders in New York that on that Saturday, but was their goalie got hurt, eh?
Clutterbuck, my buddy Clutterbuck. I have to tell you the story. We mentioned that.
Yeah.
We were out at a banquet. No, it was a golf tournament. I don't know what it was. I forget what it was, and I don't know where I was. And I was away up high by myself, watching an interview down below. I was just standing there. I was standing by myself, way up, third floor, looking down, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy wandering, and I knew who it was. I knew it was Clutterbuck, and I don't know how I knew, but I knew. So he got behind and he says, "Hi, I'm Cal Clutterbuck," and oh boy, I said, well, so the story goes is that, and now how did it go? Let me just get it around it. That he had a fight with a guy, but he had a visor on, and then he took the visor off. He took the helmet and the visor off to sit in the penalty box. So I was on Hockey Night in Canada. I really gave it to him. I take it off, and all that stuff and everything. You fight with a visor on. So the next time he fought, he took the helmet off, and it was a pretty good fight. But he didn't mention that one. So anyhow, what happened was the players were sitting.
Well, so you got mad at him and you called him Buttercup.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I call him Buttercup.
It's Kyle Buttercup.
I didn't know how to pronounce his name, Clutterbuck.
It's Clutterbuck, but you called him Buttercup.
Yeah. So he said, the whole team. I think he was playing for Minnesota at the time. I don't know. Forget anyhow. He was playing for. He said the whole team in L.A. was sitting watching Coach's Corner, and when you said Buttercup, I got Buttercup for the next 2 years or something like that. He said that he goes, the players just roared.
Yeah. Well, what happened was he shot the puck in warm up on Saturday and hit Varlam off.
Yeah, he hit the. We go out and we watch the minor hockey, and if all you young coaches out there, tell the guys that it's for the warm up. The warm up is for the goalies, not for them to get sharp.
Yeah, when we go in and watch the thing, like with the minor league goalies it's frustrating because we watch a lot of times they don't do good warm ups, and sometimes the goalies don't even because the warm ups are only 3 minutes long,
and they're ringing them off the glass.
And they're not getting the pucks. And then what happens, how many times do we see the goalie might get 4 or 5 shots, the rest of them they're putting them in the net or they're shooting them over the net, and the first shot comes in and goes in just because the goalie's not warmed up enough, and because you only got 3 minutes when you're warming up the goalie.
All you young coaches out there, when you have and you warm up a goalie, tell them it's for the goalie. It's not for you to get sharp. But I don't know why, and they put them high on the goalie. If they survive the warm up, I know they're going to survive the game.
Yeah. Well, I remember one time you said you got mad at Gilbert. So when you had you're taking shots at the goalie, you had like Jean Rattel and Peter McNabb.
Oh yeah.
And Greg Shepard shooting on Cheevers, and then you had like Terry and Schmatzy and everybody else shooting on
Wackles. Yeah, they were done. You know, I often think about the time that warm-up is one of the hardest things of all. And I'll tell you about the time when I was with Vancouver. I was coaching Rochester, and I was coach there for I got made coach. I was the sacrificial lamb. I'm making the same money, so why not have him coach? So we were going for first spot. No, we were going for the playoffs.
Right. When you guys started, you were in last place.
So 18 points behind.
18 points out of a playoffs point with less than half a year to go, and it came down to the last game of the season.
Yeah, I must tell about the whole story about that. But anyhow, I remember the general manager come in. He was a pretty good guy, Doug Adams. He was a pretty good guy. But he got orders from Vancouver to play Serge Aubry. I think it was Serge Aubry.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Serge Aubry. If they play Serge Aubry, he gets $5,000. And I remember I was having my nap. I still a player. I was having a nap, and he came in. He says, "You're not playing Zimmerman tonight. You're playing Aubry." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm playing Zimmerman." He says, "I'm telling you, and I'm giving you the order." I said, "I don't care. I'm playing Zimmerman." And so he couldn't do anything, because I knew I was going to get fired right then. So I'm sitting in the that night. We're warming up. Rochester's playing Springfield. I remember it was in Springfield, and the trainer came in, and the warm up's going on. I never watched warm up. I was sitting in the room, and he says, "Zimmerman can't play anymore. Lynn can't play anymore." And I said, "Well, why?" He says he broke his hand in the warm up. I said, "You're kidding." I said, "Because everybody had orders, and while we're there, and you know who I was, but he says, okay, I knew who broke his hand. And what happened was, when I was having the argument with Doug Adams in the hotel room, he's okay. All right, if you're not playing him, and I want you to, and we were short, meant one man. I want you to, and I never forgot the guy's name. His name was Dave Westner or something like that. And he says, "I want you to play that rookie." So I figure, what do I got? I won't get on the ice. And I said, and when Nate came in and said his hand, my number one goaltender was hurt, was broken, and I knew we were done then. I said, "I know who did it." And it was a rookie that did it. And I never forgot that. And warm-ups to me, if you did that, if you shot high at Cheevers, he'd chase you around the ice with the...
Well, just to finish that story, so you needed a win to make the playoffs. Yeah. It was not a tie.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, you needed a win, you couldn't tie. You needed a win. And it was like 1-1, or you're up 1-0, or we were up by one goal going into the third period. They had one shot on net. They scored. They tied it up.
And it's a funny thing. Floyd Smith was the coach of the other team, and he was so far with Cincinnati Swords, I think they were called. They were a farm team of Buffalo Bison. No, Buffalo Sabres. So they call them Cincinnati Swords. And he played his backup goalie. Well, I knew we were in trouble, boy. When you play the backup goalie in a nothing game, he said, well, "I'll show you." And he was standing on his head. And I remember they had one shot on
in the third period. Yeah,
and we missed the playoffs. So the Lord works in mysterious ways. Yeah. And I got fired. Someday I'll tell you how I got fired.
Yeah.
Or how I got hired and how I got fired.
Well, Dad, we talked a little bit last week about the passing of John Muckler, and we talked about some stuff, but everybody has, good memories of John, and I'm sure you do. But you and John, you were in the Rochester Americans, and John was coaching the Providence Reds. You said you guys were in the Brawl to end all brawls.
Well, I thought the Boston-Philly one with George Plimpton, I must go through that one. But this one, we were getting really hammered, like 9-2 or something. There's no way we were winning. And a guy I really liked, Bert Wilson, who from Shelburne up. And by the way, he married a girl from L.A. and took her to Shelburne. I don't think it's...
Yeah, that was a toughie.
Yeah, that was a tough... Anyhow, he's a great guy, and he was tough. He really was. He was.
I remember he was a really good-looking guy. Eh?
Oh, he was good looking.
He had long hair.
Long hair, kind of a blonde hair. He looked like Jesus. He's like Ryan Smith. Eh? Anyhow, I don't know what happened. Dougie Ferguson must have, at our club, was a smaller guy, must have speared him or something to get him going. And he was really good doing a number. And I said, and the only time in my coaching career, I think I sent a guy out, was John Winsing. And I remember saying to John, would you like to take a shift? And he says, I sure would. And he jumped the boards. And I think it was Rod Graham, too. Rod Graham from Kingston. Mm-hmm. And they went over. And unbelievable. The fight, I thought it'd be just...
Well, I remember reading the papers that Lynn Zimmerman, who was the goalie, he was swinging a stick. He got suspended. John got 10 games.
John got 10 games, and I remember in the paper the next day, in the New York paper, a guy showed me the paper, the bodies were piled up up to the glass behind the net. And speaking of pitchers, it was unbelievable. And John Muckler was coaching Providence. He come on, he was crying. He was so mad. He was so mad. And I remember, he said, you want to go and you want to fight or something? And I had a new suit on. And John Bedarski was, they were all the guys that were there that I had the year before. It was, and Ronnie Fogel, big guy.
He played a long time in the National Hockey League, Ronnie Fogelin, right?
Yeah. And then he was being, I remember he was being carried off by the stretchers.
Yeah. You heard his, Rick tore his knee or broke
I thought
his
it was
leg,
a broken leg,
leg,
but they said it was, I read in the paper he just had his knee. Maybe it was a broken leg, but I thought he said it was just a thing. So I'm behind the net, and all the owners for some reason came to that game, and in Providence, it's a beautiful new arena, and I look up and I'm waving at them to get some help, and two guys come on the bench, two state troopers come on. They were like something out of a movie.
So this was almost like Slapshot, that the cops came on the
worse. And here's these guys in the big jack boots, and they had leather jackets, and they had the helmets, and they had the gloves. And I thought I was going to be arrested. So we stopped it. So the referees are in. The referees after every game, they make out what happened and all that stuff. And I said, something happens between the game and the next morning they do it again, and before they hand it in. So I said, look, I'm going to wait outside the room, and I'm going to wait till I get to the thing. I said, you guys in the bus, I said, you guys, I knew there was a bar, and I knew they were pretty thirsty. So I said, go down to the bar. I'll meet you at the bar. I'm waiting here. By God, I waited an hour for that thing. I go out, and here's the bus waiting outside. And the captain said, if you got to wait, we're going to wait too.
So John Wensink and Bert Wilson went at it, and everybody was going at it, and then they finally calmed down. And then I think, as I say, John got 10 games.
Yeah, but John hurt his knee. I don't know how he hurt his knee, but I think he stepped on a stick during the fight.
So then the you call it the piece de resistance is you're coming back to Providence,
and it is sold out.
So they're promoting it. Wensink's returning. It's going to be World War III. It's Bert Wilson versus Wensink. They built it up like it was a heavyweight fight.
Better than a heavyweight fight because it was. So anyhow, I phoned a guy. I never forgot his name. His name was Duckworth. Something like the Duckworth or something. I told him that Wensink wasn't coming, and boy, was the Providence owner ever mad. Because he cut the, it was going to be jammed, and he cut the crowd in half. So now I have to tell you a story what happened there. So John Butterfield is the president of the league, and he is really mad at me because of the fight and all that. And John got suspended and the whole deal and everything. So Nate comes to me and he says, there's a guy outside says he'll give you $500 if he can go in the warm-up. I said,
Nate was a trainer.
He was a trainer. So I think, geez, $500. I mean, $500. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money anytime. And I thought, well, the guy must be able to skate, and everything like that, and you never know the difference. and we're short a guy. So I said, yeah, okay, get him dressed, and I'll give the $500 to the guys, and they'll have a party with it, $500. So Nate comes in halfway through, and he says, come out. He says, the guy can't even stand up. He says, you're kidding. So I go out, and the guy can't. He's just skating around. What happened was the mafia, I call it the mafia. There must have been 500 guys there to watch him, that he must have made a bet that he could get in. And I'm like a fool. I let him go. Boy, oh boy, was Jack Butterfield mad. I'm making a fool of the game, and all that stuff. And I said, well, I did it for them and tried to make it. But I'll tell you something, boy. When I went out and saw him hanging onto the boards and that, I know I was in deep trouble. I know I was in deep trouble with John Winsing. I knew I was in Zimmerman, and I knew I was when the guy. Boy, was Butterfield ever mad at me?